Today we're going to forego the music because we have music as everyone can see here, and we're going to move on to the feature presentation, if you will. He's a thriving business owner for Fortune 500 companies, a principle-based rock entertainer, and proud father, but it wasn't by accident, and none of it came easy. Having himself suffered from the consequences of abuse as a child, 20 years of addiction, depression, anxiety, and hundreds of false starts, he now shares the principles that changed all of that. Through his synth rock performance, he shares actionable steps that will shift every experience you've had to work for your good and discover how to make choices beyond your own strength and capacity to have the most significant impact in your life and world. Everybody, bring up Matt.
I'll use this mic. We're going to see how the volume is for the music and stuff, and if we need to adjust, we'll do that. I'll do a little mix of both. So what's interesting as I came up here, I was looking at some of these examples of people here on the board. And a lot of them I found things that apply to what I was going to share today. Martin Luther King said he had an inner urge to serve humanity. Albert Einstein said, I believe in intuition and inspiration. There comes a leap of consciousness, call it intuition or what you will. But the answer comes and you don't know quite how or why. Christopher Columbus said he had this drive that he knew was put into his mind that he could sail across the Indies. And he said, there was no question that inspiration was encouraging you continually to press forward. So what is it about Martin Luther King, Einstein, Christopher Columbus, and a lot of others? Oprah Winfrey. We have Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln, Gandhi, Mandela. What do all those people have in common? Well, they all had a huge impact in the world. But if you look deeper at their personal lives and stories, they recognized truth when they felt it, and they acted on it. We live in a world where there's so much information, so many things, more than we've ever had before. Distractions, agendas, it's crazy. How do you know what to focus on? And I found that this was one of these principles that they followed. Learning to recognize truth when they built it and then acting on it made the most significant difference in the impact that we can have not only on ourselves but the people around us. And so I'm going to share some of the principles that they used with this, but we're going to do it with music because music is cool. And we'll see how this goes for volume-wise in this first one. So I'll tell you a little bit, like I mentioned in my bio, I have struggled. I was abused as a child and it really messed me up. And I struggled with a lot of things, struggled with addiction, abuse, and all these other things, depression, anxiety. And I spent 20 years trying to figure out what the heck I was doing wrong. I could never figure it out. I tried everything I could think of. But there are a silver lining in all this because it took me to that point where I realized I needed something. To get me to the point where I could find the answers I actually needed. And I would have never found any of this if it wasn't for that. I have look at all that I've become, despite myself, and all I've done, and everything is opened up to me. stuck inside myself, I finally see what I've been missing, what I've been missing. And all I can say is so good, so good. I've always had this need, the burns in me. It's always been driving me to just do more. I'm finally satisfied, 'cause I'm finally where I need to be. I did a short version of that. This is a longer song, but here's the thing about it. When we look at King and Abraham Lincoln and all these guys, all of them went through a lot of stuff. It wasn't like it was a smooth ride for them. But they knew they had to move forward to do this stuff. And that's one of the things that's interesting. If you look at all of them, none of them saw the big picture when they started. They just kind of had to take a step at a time. And I got to the point where I realized what I was doing wasn't working. And I had to do something different. And when I got in to recovering therapy and all those things, a lot of stuff opened up, but it wasn't that simple. It's a lot more than that. And the answers aren't the same for everybody. It's not like there's one clear answer. If there was, then there would be no mental health industry, rehabs would be out of business. But that's not the case, but the answers are there. This song is called Surrender. And when I started out, I realized things weren't working for me, and I needed to ask for help. There's an acronym that makes it really easy to follow, to kind of follow these principles that they used. It's basically be alive. Very simple. Actually, what it means, we ask for direction, we listen, we intend to act, and then we verify to make sure that it's legit, and then we engage. My shaky knuckles clenched and white, this never-ending fight. I held on, I've held on. And what can I show for it? Falling back, and I'm losing control. I can't live this way. So please help me let go. To surrender this wasted soul. So please help me let go. You know how I tried. You know how desperately I tried. And it never was enough. Will never be enough. Will never be enough. So we will struggle this way till we finally understand where true strength comes. ways. There's three main ways that happens. Three different patterns actually that involve. The first direction, we're going to slow this down a little bit. How's that? Balance-wise, good? We do the test right before. Sometimes the progressions come like a light switch. Whereas it all comes in at once and you know what you've got to do. It's like turning on the light. You're like, yeah, that's what I've got to do. You see the big picture. It's like everything opens up. That's what we have to do like a couple of times in my life. Once was when I got married. I've had a couple other times, but it doesn't happen all that often. But more often, it's more like a sunrise. Where it's like the sun just comes in a little bit at a time. It's a subtle, gradual process. It starts out as large, not quite sure you see the big picture and you move along. It's almost subtle and it's biggest, but before you know it's daytime. And it's like you can see. And everything opens up and it's like, yes, I got this. And the third way is probably the most common. It's like like a foggy day. You're down a foggy day where it's like really light out, but you can't quite see very far in front of you. Or you're on the road and you're like nervous that something's going to jump in front of you even with the sun out. Especially in Southern California, it doesn't happen as much here in Utah Valley, but in Salt Lake it does. It's like a foggy day where you can only see a couple steps ahead of you. You've got to kind of take that step in the dark. You know, you can see enough to move ahead just a little bit. Then as you move ahead, things start to open up. And then more opens up as you do. And then you take another step forward. Like, okay, I can see a little bit more. You got another step, and the more opens up. You just keep taking those steps a little bit at a time. More and more opens up as you do. And you just have that sense of, it just kind of takes away all the anger, all the doubts, all the fears. It helps you have more love. Start by asking and listening. How do we listen? What are we listening for? I think the best way to describe it is we listen with love. Because if we're bound out by fears or doubts or anger or selfishness or any of that stuff, we're not listening with love. So we listen with love, with the intention to act. And just like those first few steps in the dark, if we're not willing to take those steps, we're not going to get more direction when it comes. You know, I discovered this partly because I was trying to do a better job of being actually the people around me. I realized I felt happier when I was looking out for other people and looking at ways I could serve other people around me. But what I found is the more that I did that, the more opportunities came, more impressions came, more direction I came, not only to help other people, but also to find the answers that I needed. In my own life. We've all experienced it. It's like some New Age hippie stuff, right? It's like an impression is, feels right to do something for somebody. But like feeling that you know there's something you need to create, build, or do. You know if you don't do it, you're going to regret it. Or just an impression to be kinder to someone. There's nothing that compares to being able to find that direction and follow it. I had an experience, a lot of experiences I could share, but just one I'll share that kind of applies to this principle. A couple months ago, I was at a gas station just taking gas. And I'm always trying to be listening, always just being listening with love, looking for opportunities that I might be able to do more, do something. I'm not really thinking about it all the time, right? But it's just kind of in my mind. And pumping gas, and I see a girl over in her car, and she has the door open, she looks like she's making a call, and I don't know why it stood out to me. She wasn't making a scene or anything. No one else would notice. I just saw it looks like she needs something. She needs some help or something. And of course the doubtings are like, well, you know, she's probably just doing something that is professional. It's okay, you know, don't worry about it. I was like, you know what? I've had enough of those. I know I need to do something about it. So I go over to her and I just go up to her and say, is everything okay? I can see she's actually crying. I can tell from before. And she said, somebody stole my wallet. I can't get hold of my boyfriend. I don't know what to do. And I can tell she's really distraught. It's really hard thing for her. And even the fact of the people around her, she wasn't even concerned about what it might look like to other people. She was that distraught. And I asked her, can I pay some money or can I do something? And she's like, no, I'm okay, I'm okay. And I didn't really know what else I could do. I didn't want to cry, so I went back to my car. And as I'm going back, I realized, you know what? I don't usually carry cash, but I have some cash. And, you know, no big deal, right? So I decided, you know what, I don't need it as bad as she probably needs this. So I give her the money. I go back over the card scanner and I just say, here, you can use this. I know you're in a hard situation. I know what that's like. I've been there. And she didn't know what to say. She was just kind of distraught, but not distraught. It's a word. Just surprised, appalled, and I didn't really think anything of it. Okay, I mean, this was just something nice to do. But as I went back to my car and I went to pull out of the gas station, I knew that was the right thing to do, and I'm glad that I acted on it. And there's not a better feeling than that high of knowing that you've been able to benefit somebody else's life. How do we verify the impressions we receive? How do we know if they're in our own head or if there's something else? If we ask and we listen with love, with the intention to act, we verify. That's the first question: is it based in love or something else? If we're driven by doubts, fears, anger, selfishness, or any other personal agendas, we're not listening with love. But if those impressions wash away the doubts and the fears, then you know that you're on something. This was the same thing. If you look at all of the people we mentioned, we're going to go into some of these stories of some people up here who did this. Abraham Lincoln, during the Battle of Gettysburg, he said, when everybody seemed panic-stricken and nobody could tell what was going to happen, and if you know in Gettysburg, it was a drag time. We didn't know what was going to happen in the United States. And, you know, President Lincoln, he made some tough, hard decisions. And everybody didn't know what to do. He said, everybody seemed panic-stricken and nobody could tell what was going to happen. I went to my room one day and locked the door, got down on my knees, and prayed mightily. I don't know how it was, and I cannot explain it, but soon a sweet comfort crept into my soul. The feeling came that God had taken the whole business into his own hands, and that things would go right at Gettysburg. Mother Teresa, when she was on a train coming back to Kolkata, she felt like she received a call within a call that she was supposed to help the poor people in India. And it was so strong to her that she just took the steps and did it. And if you've seen the story of Mother Teresa, it's incredible some of the things that she did and what she started with. But the impact that she has had is amazing. The answers will come in our hearts and our minds. This truth resonates in our hearts. And it washes away the doubts, the fears, and all that other stuff. I wasn't running the time, so I didn't even know how we're doing on time. Realized I didn't start the clock.
15 minutes.
15 minutes? All right.
Probably 20 actually.
What's that?
Probably 20 actually.
All right. Let's do. Let's see here. We ought to take this a step at a time. And if you look at all the people like Gandhi, Mandela, Lincoln, all the others, they never saw the big picture. Even with Mother Teresa, she didn't see the big picture. She just had to move ahead and take the steps. But they asked, they listened, they intended to act, and they followed through. They engaged, they did it, they followed through. Once we realize we're not alone and we have the universe to back us up on this kind of stuff, it's impossible to fail. And if you look at all of those people, it's exactly what they did. All the people, you gotta understand once you start to go about doing stuff, it's not just a smooth ride, right? Obstacles are gonna come up. It happens. Especially when you're kind of involved in doing something good or a positive impact in the world. It's gonna happen. And all of those people, we have perfect examples of all of those people. They had some really difficult challenges in their lives, but they kept moving ahead. And they realized they had a bigger purpose that was more important than them themselves and their own ideas and agendas, that it was gonna make a difference. But it doesn't just apply to the world, it applies to us individually. Finding the answers for the things that we need. But when we realize that, we cannot fail. Oh, you're the pay the price. Went down. Give them the last say no. Not gonna settle. This is our life. We cannot fail. Don't matter what comes. You know life is crazy. But that's what keeps it fun, baby. Oh, we're gonna pay the price when we're down. You never last say no. Not gonna settle. This is our life. I want you to start to realize and start following these principles and start to be alive and start listening and asking and going for it. You'll be amazed at some of the things that come up and impact that you can have. But it's never that easy. It never is. When anything that's good or worthwhile is going to take a lot of effort, a lot of challenges. And we have all those people that have the same things. We're no different than people that have had a significant impact, even individually. You'll have your doubts, we all do. It's okay. But when you do, instead of giving into the doubts and the fears that break us down, ask to be strengthened. Listen with love for direction. And find what's going to build you up, give you the power to move ahead. When you do that, we cannot fail. Say what they will, we cannot fail. They want to keep us down. They can stick it when the sun's on. Well, we cannot fail. This is our life. This is our life. As long as you're here, we cannot fail. Don't matter the hell, we cannot fail. As long as you're here, as long as you're here. That's a little more aggressive stuff, but I had time for it, so we're going to do it, right? Share one last, let's go over here. Continue with this one. One we kind of started with. No idea how much of an impact we can make. But we realize we're in this together. We're all here to help each other out. When we start to see, we start to be open, we're how we can serve those and benefit those around us, we'll find the answers we need for ourselves too. And I think one of the biggest impactful things for me to realize was that we can be really kind and nice to other people, really be loving other people and to our kids and our spouses and all this other stuff. But are we also applying that same love to ourselves? the same forgiveness, the same compassion that we want to give somebody else. Because if we don't do that, we're like an empty bucket. We can't really fill other people. It's a beautiful thing when you can really do that. And I realized that from my experiences, I don't really talk about the past so much. I don't think we need to. I made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of stupid things. I've struggled a lot. But I discovered by doing this that it doesn't matter what we've been through or what we get hit with next. Everything will work out for our good and for the good of others. So good, so good. I've always had this need that burns in me. It's always been driving me to just do more and finally satisfied. 'Cause I'm finally where I need to be. I've always had this need. I've always had this need. And all I can say is what I know. Everything only gets better. Always there with you. Everything finally alive, finally alive. Finally alive. All right. I can't tell you what kind of effect you're going to have with whatever you're doing, but I can tell you, I think it's awesome. And one of the things I think we realize that we're more powerful than we can comprehend. You have something unique to offer this world. And those you love. Hang on to that feeling. Because it will pull you through all the hell that might come your way. And just like Lincoln, or Gandhi, or Mandela, or any of these other people, the impact they have, it's worth it. And even if we don't have a huge impact on like a global scale, I promise you, the impact we have will save lives. The small things people have done have saved my life. And they have no idea. I challenge you to be alive, ask, listen, with the intention to act, and verify if you need to, engage. I promise you, as you do that, it doesn't matter what we've been through, what you've been hit with, or what happens next. Everything only keeps getting better. It only keeps getting better. guys.
Yeah, can you hang up here for a minute?
Yeah.
So, Matt's Soren. So, do you have a website?
Yeah, I do. About the purpose.
Rockwoodpurpose.
Yeah.
What is on rockwoodpurpose.com?
Yeah, you know what? It's actually, I got music there, and I actually, you know what? I didn't know that. If you guys want me to send you music, I can email that and pass it to you.
So,
If you want to sign up and just get
sign up?
Yeah, so if you want me to send you MP3s that I've done, I actually will need a couple that I got a lot more. Are cool.
Okay. Here, we will put that right here.
So,
And if you want to sign up for that, come put your name and your email on that. Are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook.
Like Facebook page, or is it just you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Can we friend you? Are you friendly?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So how long have you been doing this?
Yes, the kind of
As a
interesting
point,
story.
this stuff. How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting, because I didn't bring this up, but I have a hard time considering myself a musician for quite a while, because I haven't grown up doing this. I just started, about 5 years ago, I was going through the whole bit, and I was thinking, man, what should I be doing with my life? And I got this impression I should do, start doing music. It's like, that's crazy, I have any experience with music. And I started doing it, and found I had a knack for writing. I couldn't sing, and I had to work on that. A lot of practice on that, but that's why I do it.
It's paid off, I think.
Yeah, but I think the coolest thing is just like, I didn't know where it was going, but I felt like I should start doing performances for rehabs and things like that. And I had some really cool experiences. And I would talk more about addiction than necessarily this, but I feel like this is kind of behind all of it. And I have had more than one occasion where somebody's come up and told me that something I said saved their life. And a girl told me that she decided not to commit suicide that night. It was all worth it. It was all worth it. I have some people that listen to me.
Let's open it up to questions.
What's the I? Number the I.
Intent to act.
Intent.
Yeah, intent to act.
And then verify them.
Yeah. And we're not sure, make the acronyms a little bit more.
Other questions?
Yeah.
How did you ultimately stop abusing substances?
You know what? That's a whole other topic. But one of the actually things that kind of came through a lot of different processes, and I think probably one of the most powerful things I realized was I did not like myself. There's some other aspects and things too, but when you realize if you don't like yourself, you don't like being with yourself, you're irritated with yourself, without even realizing it, you're gonna try to find a way to escape from that. Whether it's drug abuse or any other kinds of addiction, or even just like, you know, binging on Netflix or spending too much time on Facebook. And when I realized that I wasn't giving myself the kind of affection I want to give other people, that was very liberating. To realize it's okay to love myself. And I can, and I do. And it's like, wow, that feels really good to give myself the same type of forgiveness that I would be willing to give somebody else, or give my own kids, or my wife. I'm willing to forgive them on a dime, because I need plenty of forgiveness from one of the mistakes I've made. But to be able to forgive myself, to be able to be willing to step back and say, you know what, it's okay. That's part of life. It's cool. I think that most impact.
So, what can we do, or how can we be to help friends and family members that are addicted to something?
That's a great question.
How can we act around that?
Yes. One of the probably the biggest challenges with addiction, specifically, is shame. And one of the things we kind of find that can actually be counterproductive is the shame of that cycle. And really one of the best things, I still struggle with addiction after I got married with my wife. And one of the things that she was miraculously valuable in my recovery was when I made a mistake, she was able to step back and realize, this isn't my problem, this is your problem. So I'm just here to support you. And I could talk to her, I could be honest with her, I could share with her. If I was having a hard time, if I was struggling, I could talk to her and I knew she wasn't going to tear me apart and kick me out. And that changed significantly for my life. And I think that anybody, when we're struggling, that's one of the things we think. It's like, well, we got to punish them. Now, there's the side of enabling, we don't do that. But really, it's just stepping back and supporting instead of shaming. Being able to be there. I'll share one other thing that might be helpful for this. There was a study done back in the early 1900s where they took mice and they did a study and they put them in a cage with a water bottle and one with heroin-based water, and they did heroin in two different ones. And what they did in the studies, they found that ultimately the mice would drink the heroin water until they died. So from that point, it was like, that's it. You know, this is an addiction. It's a problem. This is something we got to fix. We got to stop it. But then another scientist, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but in the 1970s, he looked at that study and he realized that all the mice that were in the cages, all they had in the cage were the waters. They didn't have anything else. So he said, well, what if we made it like a rat heaven? Okay, we'll put like wheels to play on, toys, other rats so they're not isolated, and they put them in there with the same two bottles, one clean water, one isolated, with the laced heroin. And what happened? None of the mice liked the heroin-laced water, or rats, excuse me. In fact, and none of them overdosed on the stuff and died. And they realized it had a lot more to do with our connection and having that gap filled in a healthy way. That's the only reason we go to those things. And so not just the love of the people around us, but to be able to learn how to love ourselves, which is ultimately the thing where I think most addicts struggle with, because we hate ourselves, because we screw up so much and we're thinking, what the heck's wrong with me? But that is one of the biggest things that helps recovery. Thank you.
One last question. Whether it's for yourself or a friend, if you find someone in kind of a self-defeating set of behaviors or something like that, addiction, whatnot, what resources are there? What are the best resources to, what's out there?
You know what? I think in terms of if you're looking at drug recovery, any types of programs where the whole family is involved in the recovery process is going to be a lot more powerful. That's one of the big issues we have with rehabs, is that somebody will come to the rehab, they'll get all fixed up, cleaned up, but then you go back out into this unhealthy environment and unhealthy relationships or family situations, and then the addiction comes back. There's a lot of relapse like that. So any types of programs where there's a holistic approach, where the whole family can be involved in participating in that, if you're looking at that. And as far as a couple of books that I think I found really valuable in terms of this, that isn't specifically addiction, but it's been the most powerful I found, is a book by Byron Katie called Loving What Is. And that is a book where she talks about, it's not just about addiction, but it's about all of these little things, these multiples that kind of hold us back, hold us down. And then another one is, I don't remember the author's doing that. Well, there's Johan Ari, the Chasing the Scream, which talks about these lab rats. There's a lot more studies on that.
Chasing the Screen.
Chasing the Screen.
He's got a TED Talk where he talks about that.
Yes, yeah. And that's kind of helps to liberate. And there are some good therapy clinics that do a good job of that in the Valley. And I don't know if I should give names or something, but it's these. I know some of them do a good job with this stuff. So,
Jen? One last hand for Matt Soren. Thanks everyone for coming out. If you'd like to know more about Utah Valley Oasis or get involved, go to uoasis.org or go to our Facebook page. Again, if you like what you saw today and you want to see more of this and for us to be able to provide more coffee, etc., I'll be standing over here with the square and come donate. Otherwise, have a great week, everybody. Yeah, we did that at the beginning, but we'll do that one more time. Next week, 2:30.